Hey, good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, whenever you happen to see this. Joan here, and my good friend Triana.
Hi.
And welcome to the second Astro Cards and Coffee. Well, that's what it was, but we're having a name change. I was just thinking about it, and when I think of the moon, I think of emotion. I think of the feminine. I think of feeling. And Astro Cards and Coffee felt like go, go, go energy. And I realized I have enough of that in my life. I thought, let's have story time. So this morning in meditation, what came to me was a new title for these: Moon, Myth, and Magic. So we're going to do this and see midnight is bringing in a little extra magic. But my thought is doing these conversations on the new and the full moon. And then the myth is Triana is a fabulous storyteller, and she's going to share with us how myths first came into her life when she was a little girl. And then I'm going to bring in some magic with oracle cards to support the information for Virgo, for water signs, and the mutable signs. And then we're going to end with a blessing, maybe a little meditation and a blessing to end. So that's sort of the overview of what we're going to do today. And Triana and I are islanders. So this is an islander's perspective on what we think. Because for me, when I think of the moon, I go back to when I was a little girl sitting on a little island on a very little beach at night, 9 years old, 9, 10, 11, watching the moon come up over a distant island over the trees and being absolutely mesmerized. And I fell in love with the moon at that point. And so to be able to talk to Triana, who really knows the ins and outs behind the astrology and the magic that the moon delivers, in my study, when we pair that together, I think it's going to be something that's going to be useful and practical and hopefully entertaining. Let's see how we do. So, Triana, why don't you introduce us to how you first discovered mythology?
Well, when I was a little girl in elementary school, actually I was in preschool, but I was able to access the elementary school library. I discovered a children's book on Greek mythology. And so I checked that out, and I mostly looked at the pictures and tried to read a little bit about what I was looking at. And I was so fascinated by what I was seeing and reading that I looked at the whole book, and I kept checking that book out. And as I was able to read better, I was able to garner the information about the gods and goddesses and the elements and the constellations and the entire pantheon of the Olympians and their relationships and everything. And I fell in love with Greek mythology. And that's what eventually led me to astrology, because I started watching the night skies every night to see the constellations come up and to relate to them. And yes, the moon as well. And my mother had astrology books in her library, as well as many metaphysical books. And I got into those. And that's how it just kind of progressed naturally. So by the time I was a teenager, I was actually casting and reading charts. But my love of mythology continued. And I know some of Egyptian mythology, a little bit about Indian mythology, but Greek mythology is my main love, because that's what I fell in love with as a foundation when I was a child.
That is so cool. So since it's a full moon, why don't you shine a little light on what do you think about this Pisces full moon that's coming up?
Well, this full moon that's coming up is another super moon, meaning that it's closer to the earth. It's in the water sign of Pisces, meaning that emotions will be running high and expanded because Pisces tends to be an expansive sign emotionally. Without, when you think of a river flooding, that's kind of how Pisces expands its boundaries. It jumps the bank, and that's how this full moon will behave. It's also
Wow.
eclipsing, and that will pull in a little bit the emotional impact of this moon. But it's also, this moon is opposing Mercury. Now, the moon is actually the goddess Selene, who is the moon, and she pulls the moon through the sky with a chariot that's pulled by 4 white horses. And so she leads the moon through the sky. And if you look hard enough, you can see her and her white horses. And on the other side, we have Mercury, who is Hermes, the god of communication, the messenger. He's also the trickster. So we have Mercury opposing the moon. And that could mean, with this eclipse, that head over heart comes into play. And there may be some trickery in there. So we need to be careful as we look at what we're reacting to and see if what we're seeing is really what we're seeing. And so that our emotions don't spill over the banks and make us go wah or blah, 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 and be sure that we're really seeing what we think we're seeing. And that's how this full moon will tend to influence us in relation, or I should say, in addition to some pretty amazing dreams, because Pisces is the dreamer. So this full moon will have an effect on our dreams. And dreaming is always a fun thing because under a Pisces influence, our dreams may be lucid, they may be premonition dreams, they may be symbolic dreams, or they might just be wild and woolly dreams. But a Pisces full moon is a great moon to dream under as well.
Man, I'm just taking so many notes. That is so cool. Now, how does, I mean, when you think of Virgo and you think of Pisces in their relationship at this time, is there anything to mention on that?
Well, Virgo wants to look at details, and Pisces doesn't really want to look at details. Pisces is a feeler, and Virgo is a note taker. And so you have two very different methodologies that work there, where Pisces would rather feel things out, and Virgo wants to stop and pay attention to the details. And so there we have two opposites, kind of arguing with each other about how to proceed. So for that day of the full moon, there may be some internal arguments on that day. And well, I would say on that particular day, intuition will argue with our heads. And where we can say that intuition will always win out, maybe not always, because intuition can be influenced. But it'll be an interesting day to just kind of look within.
Be an
And
observer.
what's that?
Be an observer.
Yes, to be an observer, see where we're at, because the moon on that day and Mercury on that day will be trying to strike a balance within us. And that is especially true as we're communicating with each other. If we get into a conflict, that's where we have to step back and end the conflict as quickly as we possibly can, because there's enough conflict out there in the world. We don't want that. Pisces is going to want to create harmony, and Virgo can be kind of stodgy in a way of carrying a grudge. So we want to go the way of harmony, compassion, and sensitivity, which is where the moon will be in Pisces.
Oh, I love that. Harmony, compassion, and sensitivity.
Right.
Okay, now I've got a big question for you.
Okay.
So I wrote it down. Let me look at my notes. Okay. So now that we know a little bit about what's going on with the moon and with Pisces and Mercury, et cetera, how that's kind of playing out. Of the 12 signs in the zodiac, with this full moon in Pisces, which signs do you think are going to feel it the most?
The water signs will feel it the most, and that will be, of course, Pisces and Cancer and Scorpio. Pisces is also a mutable sign, so Sagittarius and Virgo will also feel this full moon.
Okay, so my thought is let's get some support.
That sounds like a good plan.
So so we're going to play with Oracle cards, but I want to start for a moment. We've gotten lots of data. That's a lot to absorb. So if you're in a place where you can, maybe close your eyes and just place your hands on your heart for a moment. And just like we're going to be with the light of the full moon on Tuesday, we can just be an observer. And we're just slowing or not even slowing. We're just noticing we're breathing in, noticing we're breathing out. And we're just observing our breathing rhythm. We're not trying to influence in any way. We're just observing. And then just feel your hands on your heart. And just allow yourself to smile. And I want to read you a poem I came across this morning that I thought really speaks to today's podcast. We are each gifted in a unique and important way. It is our privilege and our adventure to discover our own special light. And that was written by Mary Dunbar. And that just really, I was thinking of the light of the moon, and that just happened to come across my path. And I went, oh, I want to share that. And I wanted to pull a card for the water signs. So if you happen to have sun, moon, or rising in Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces, this is for you. And if you're not sure about your sun, moon, and rising, and you haven't had a chart done and you're not really sure, I'm going to put Triana's information down here so you can write her and get more information. She is a fount of information. So, water signs, Cancer, Scorpio. Actually, I think let's do that. Okay. I get so excited when I do these things that I'm trying to get myself to be calm like a water sign. Flowing. Not a tidal wave, Joan. Flowing. Soft. Easy.
The problem is, Joan, you're an Aquarius. You are electric.
This is a problem?
No, it's not a problem, but you're saying you're painting yourself to be another element, but you're air and you're electric.
Yeah, well, and it's interesting, the card that I pulled. So this is going to be for Cancer. Cool your emotions. Interesting. So this particular deck is Yasmin Boland's Moonology cards, and I'll put the information below. But so for Cancer, it's about cooling your emotions. For Scorpio, it's about letting your fears dissolve. And for Scorpio, oh, wait a minute. Cancer, Scorpio, and for Pisces, it's reveal what needs to be seen. So the thing is that we have these watery elements within all of us. But for these particular signs, Pisces, reveal what needs to be seen. Scorpio, let your fears dissolve. And Cancer, cool your emotions. So my thought is what we're being taught by this particular moon at this time. Reveal what needs to be seen. Let your fears dissolve and cool your emotions. You know, and one of my girlfriends, Deb Madrid, we did a podcast, I forgot what it, Two Girlfriends Talk, I think, when we were doing organizing and energizing for homes. And she said to me one day something like, I think of the moon as the flashlight in the sky. And that's where it seems to me, where that light of the moon, this moon's going to help us reveal what needs to be seen, lets your fears dissolve, and cools your emotions. Does that feel to you, Triana, like that would be helpful for water signs?
Oh, definitely. Water signs kind of have it a little bit more difficult than the rest of us because they are ruled by their emotions, and a lot of times their sensitivity will take a hit from the real world and cause them to withdraw. So any help that they can get with their emotional reactions or responses is very much needed.
Well, and you know, and that's where I think it felt so good, you know, putting this together. It's like, what's going to support us? Well, if you think of the moon as the flashlight in the sky, what's she highlighting for us? Well, she's going to reveal what needs for us to look at. And we can let our fears dissolve and let that soothe and calm our emotions. And then the mutable signs, how did you describe what mutable was? Because
Well,
some people might not know what mutable is.
there are three characteristics of signs. Fixed, those are the signs that are the most difficult to change. They resist change. They are the ones who finish projects, and they're the most steadfast. They're the mutable signs, which are, well, the fixed signs are Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. And then there are the mutable signs, which are Pisces, Sagittarius, and Virgo. The mutable signs are the distributors, and they tend to be in constant motion and don't begin or finish things. They're distributors and messengers. And then there are the cardinal signs, which are Aries, Libra, and Capricorn. And they're the ones that begin things, and they are the initiators. So what was the question?
Well, that was perfect. It was sort of like, okay, tell me a little bit about mutable signs. Well, now, so because I remember you were saying the mutable signs are also affected. So the signs that are going to feel it the most are going to be the water signs and the mutable signs.
Right.
So let me pull a card for Virgos. So Virgo's energy, honor your feelings. Sag, keep your heart open. And Pisces, detoxify.
Oh, wow.
So, and then when I think of all of us, so we're having, this special moon's gift to us. I mean, it starts off, if we close our eyes for a moment, I want to read this two ways. So the way that the order that I pulled these cards was cool your emotions, let your fears dissolve, reveal what needs to be seen, honor your feelings, keep your heart open, and detoxify. That to me feels like a to-do list. What I find that helpful, but what for me, the power is in the reverse order. That's where I can go into my heart and really receive it and allows me to be these qualities. So it's a time to detoxify. Well, we're in Virgo. When I think of Virgo, I think of ultimate. My mom was a Virgo. List makers, practical, methodical, very loving and nurturing. And if there was ever a time that you wanted help decluttering, letting go, full moons are great for that, especially I think of Virgo full moon, and hence detoxify. So here's the card for detoxify. And then for Sag, it's all about keeping your heart open. And Virgo, honor your feelings. And then getting into the water signs, Pisces, reveal what needs to be seen. And then Scorpio, let your fears dissolve. And then we get into Cancer, cool your emotions. So how do you think I did with that, Triana? Does it feel to you like the cards are supporting what you were sharing, how that works today?
Yeah, I do think so. I really do. I like those cards a lot. I should get those.
I'll put the info in I'll put the info below so you can.
Okay.
And the one of the things that I really like about this deck is I always pull, what is the moon, the new moon or the full moon for the month. And this is the oh, where did I get that from? Oh, well, who knows where it went? Maybe it's right here. I think I was shuffling. Sorry, guys. I'll put it up on the thing. The word for the full moon in Pisces is forgiveness. And so that is a practice that I like to do. It's one, to be honest, that is, I think, one of the biggest teachers in my life is learning about forgiveness. How do I work with that? Because I tend to be a person who holds on to things. Letting go. I mean, something is so fun. I want more. Less is not as comfortable. And so learning how to let go and forgive and comes down for me trusting. And so I think of full moons and forgiveness. And Yasmin shares a prayer, or it's like a release formula that I've been doing for many years, and I thought I would share it with you today. And this is one to read at the time of the full moon. Under the glorious full moon, I forgive everything, everyone, every experience, every memory of the past or present that needs forgiveness. I forgive positively everyone. I also forgive myself of any past mistakes. The universe is love, and I am forgiven and governed by love alone. Love is now adjusting my life. Realizing this, I abide in peace. And just check back in and notice what you notice. Well, and I see why this card came up. And I think that, I always have a wild card. And it's so funny. I thought what I had out on my desk, there's only one card alone by itself. You can't make this up. Embrace the flow of life. So this Pisces watery moon, if there was one thought to carry forward, embrace the flow of life.
I love it.
That just feels, there's a completion. Just feels like the two parentheses are complete. And that's where I like the idea of moon, myth, and magic, that it's softer, it's a little more, it's kind, it's generous, and it's playful. And who knows what the myths are going to teach us each month and what the decks are going to share. But anyway, that's the, and this is the book.
Yeah, this is the book that I started with, that
When
I've kept.
you were 4.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
All of the pictures in the book were imprinted with stone plates. I'll show you one page. Let me find one that's really colorful. Oh, it's a heavy book when you open it.
Oh, wow.
Example of the making of man.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what, Triana, send me the name and the info, and I'll put it at the bottom below in case people want to check that out.
Okay, it's out of print. It's been out of print for years, but you could probably find it on Amazon through somebody.
Yeah, well, we'll just give people the information and then they can track it however they choose.
Yeah, it's really easy to read. I mean, anybody who wants to dip their hand into Greek mythology without going into Homer and all the complicated stuff, this is a great beginner's book.
Beautiful. All righty. Any final thoughts that you have?
Well, I would say go out, look up, and enjoy the full moon and immerse yourself in the magic of the light of it.
I love it. Well, thank you, and hope you guys enjoyed Moon, Myth, and Magic. And we'll be back in a couple of weeks for the new moon, when that comes next. So have a great rest of your week, great rest of your day. Take good care and hope to see you again next time. And be sure, if you like to find out about the moon, myth, and magic, be sure to like and subscribe below, and you won't miss out whenever we post an issue. All righty. Bye for now. Thank you.
Bye.